Welcome to the DragonLance Saga Gaming Advanced Dungeons & Dragons episode. This is the 14th episode in the Advanced Dungeons & Dragons Dungeon Master's Guide series. It is Misham New Cult the First, and my name is Adam. DragonLance came out of Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, so I thought it'd be fun to read the core rules aloud and discuss them with a live audience. I'd like to take a moment and thank the DL Saga YouTube members and Patreon patrons and invite you to consider becoming a member or patron. You can even grab DragonLance Media using my affiliate links in the description below. All right, we are still on Treasure, and we're going to be here for a while, I think. And we are picking back up with the Book of Vile Darkness. This work of ineffable evil is meat and drink to clerics of that alignment. To fully consume the contents requires 1 week of reading, but when such has been accomplished, the evil cleric will gain 1 point of wisdom and experience points sufficient to place him or her exactly halfway into the next level of experience. Clerics, neither good nor evil, who read the book will either lose 30,000 to 120,000 experience points or become evil without benefit from the work. There's a 50% chance for either. Good clerics, perusing the pages of the unspeakable Book of Vile Darkness, will have to save versus poison or die. And if they do not die, they must save versus magic or become permanently insane. In the latter event, even if the save is successful, the cleric loses 250,000 experience points, less 10,000 for each of his or her points of wisdom. Other characters of good alignment will take 5 to 30 hit points of damage from handling the tome, and if they look inside, there's an 80% chance a night hag will thereafter come to the character that night and attack. Non-evil neutral characters will take 5 to 20 hit points of damage from handling the book, and reading its pages will cause them to save versus poison or become evil, immediately seeking out an evil cleric to confirm their new alignment. CF Book of Exalted Deeds for other details. Boots of Dancing. The magical boots of dancing will expand or contract to fit any foot size from halfling to giant, just as other magical boots will do, of course. They radiate a dim magic if detection is used. They're indistinguishable from other magical boots, and until actual melee combat is engaged in, they will function exactly as if they were on one of the other 4 types of useful boots. See below. When in melee combat, or if the wearer is fleeing from the actuality of same, the boots of dancing will impede his or her movement, begin to tap and shuffle heel and toe, or shuffle off to buffalo, making the wearer behave exactly as if Otto's irresistible dance spell has been cast upon him or her. -4 for armor class rating, no saving throws possible, and no attacks possible. Only a remove curse spell will allow the boots to be removed once their true nature comes forth. Boots of Elvenkind. These soft boots enable the wearer to move without sound or of footfall in virtually any surroundings. Thus, the wearer can walk across a patch of dry leaves or over a normally creaky wooden floor and make only a whisper of noise, say 95% of the silence in the worst of conditions, 100% in the best. Boots of Levitation, as other magical boots. These soft foot gear will expand or contract to fit giant to halfling-sized feet. Boots of Levitation allow the wearer at will to ascend or descend vertically. The speed of ascent or descent is 20 feet per round minute. There is no limitation on usage. The amount of weight the boots can levitate is randomly determined in 14-pound increments by rolling d20 and adding the result to a base of 280 pounds, i.e., a given pair of boots can levitate from 294 to 560 pounds of weight. Thus, an ogre could be wearing such boots, but its weight would be too great to levitate. CF, second level magic user spell, Levitation. Boots of Speed. These boots enable the wearer to run at the speed of a fast horse, viz. 24-inch base movement speed. For every 10 pounds, 100 gold piece equivalent, of weight over 200 pounds, the wearer is slowed 1 inch in movement, so a 180-pound human with 60 pounds of gear would move at 20-inch base movement rate. And if a sack of 500 gold pieces were being carried in addition, the movement rate would be slowed yet another 5 inches. For every hour of continuous fast movement, the wearer must rest 1 hour. No more than 8 hours of continuous fast movement are possible before the wearer must rest. Boots of Speed give a +2 to armor class value in combat situations where movement of this sort is possible. Boots of Striding and Springing. The wearer of these magical boots has a base movement rate of 12 inches, regardless of size or weight. This speed can be maintained tirelessly for up to 12 hours per day, but thereafter the boots no longer function for 12 hours, assume they recharge for that period. In addition to the striding factor, these boots also have a springing factor. While normal paces for the individual wearer of this type of footgear are 3 inches long, the boots also enable forward jumps of up to 30 feet, backward leaps of 9 feet, and vertical springs of 15 feet. If circumstances permit the use of such movement in combat, the wearer can effectively strike and spring away while he or she has the initiative during a melee round. However, such activity has a degree of danger, and there is a base 20% chance that the wearer of the boots will stumble and be stunned on the following round. Adjust the 20% chance downwards by 3% for each point of dexterity above 12 of the wearer, i.e. 17% at 13 dexterity, 14% at 14, 11% at 15, 8% at 16, 5% at 17, and but 2% at 18 dexterity. In any event, the wearer increases armor class value by +1 due to the quickness of movement these boots imbue, so armor class 2 becomes 1, armor class 1 becomes 0, etc. Bowl commanding water elementals. This large container is usually fashioned from blue or green stone of semi-precious value, such as malachite or lapis lazuli. Sometimes jade will be used. It is about 1 foot in diameter, half that deep, and relatively fragile. When the bowl is filled with water, fresh or salt, and certain words are spoken, an elemental of 12 hit die will appear. The summoning words require 1 round to speak. Note that if salt water is used, the elemental will be stronger, +2 hit die, maximum 8 hit points per die, however. Controls and similar information are given under Elemental in Advanced Dungeons & Dragons Monster Manual, cf. Bowl of Watery Death below. Bowl of Watery Death. This device exactly resembles a bowl commanding water elementals, including color, design, magic radiation, etc. However, when it's filled with water, the magic user must save versus magic or be shrunk to the size of a small ant and plunged into the center of the bowl. Note, if salt water is poured into the bowl, the saving throw is at -2. The victim will drown in 3 to 8 rounds unless magic is used to save the individual, for he or she cannot be physically removed from the bowl of watery death except by magical means. Animal growth, enlarge, or wish are the only spells which will free the victim and restore normal size. A growth potion poured into the water will have the same effect. A sweet water potion will allow the victim another saving throw, i.e. a chance that the curse magic of the bowl works only briefly. If the victim drowns, death is permanent. No resurrection is possible, and even a wish will not work. Damn, it is an evil dungeon master that pulls that bowl out on the players. Hey, Ryan, how you doing? Bracers of defense. These items appear to be some sort of wrist or arm guards. Their magic bestows an effective armor class equal to actually wearing armor and employing a shield. Of course, if armor is actually worn, the bracers will not be effective, but they do work in conjunction with other magical items of protection. The armor class the bracers of defense bestow is determined by random dicing on the table below, and it ranges from 8 to 2. Bracers of defenselessness. Hey, Corey, how you doing, man? These items appear to be some sort of bracers of defense, and they will actually serve as one of the above types until the wearer is attacked in anger by a dangerous enemy. At that moment, the bracers will lower armor class to 10 and negate any and all other magical protections and dexterity bonuses. Thereafter, the bracers can only be removed by means of a remove curse spell. Brutal. Brazier commanding fire elementals. This device appears to be a normal container for holding burning coals unless magic is detected for. It enables a magic user to summon an elemental of 12 hit die strength from the elemental plane of fire. A fire must be lit in the brazier, usually 1 round is required to do so. If sulfur is added, the elemental will be of +1 on each hit die, i.e. 2 to 9 hit points per hit die. The fire elemental will appear as soon as the fire is burning and a command word is uttered. See Monster Manual for other details. Hey, Justin, thanks for tuning in. Brazier of Sleep Smoke. This device is exactly similar to the brazier commanding fire elementals. However, when a fire is started with it, the burning of Within it, the burning will cause great clouds of magical smoke to pour forth in a cloud of 1 inch radius of the brazier. All creatures within that cloud must save resist magic or fall into a deep sleep. At the same moment, a fire elemental of 12 hit die will appear and attack the nearest creature. Sleeping creatures can only be awakened by means of a dispel magic or remove curse spell. These are so evil. Have you guys ever seen any of these used in an actual game? I feel like I would punch the dungeon master if they pulled this out on an AD&D game. Like, what are you doing, dick? All right, Brooch of Shielding. The Brooch of Shielding appears to be a piece of silver or gold jewelry, usually 90% without gems inset, which is meant to fasten a cloak or cape. It has the property, however, to absorb magic missiles of the sort generated by spell, wand, or other magical device. A brooch can absorb up to 101 hit points of magic missile damage before it melts and becomes useless. Its use can normally be determined only by means of a detect magic spell and then experimentation. Broom of Animated Attack. Indistinguishable from a normal broom, except by means of detection of its magic, and completely identical to a broom of flying by all tests short of attempted use, the Broom of Animated Attack is a very nasty item. If a command word, fly, soar, etc., is spoken, the broom will do a loop-the-loop with its hopeful rider, dumping him or her off on his or her head from 6 feet to 9 feet off the ground. The broom will then attack the stunned victim, swatting the face with the straw twig end to blind and beat with the bald-headed end, the handle. Each such attack takes place twice per round, the broom attacking as if it were a 4-hit die monster. The straw end will cause blindness for 1 round of hits. The other end causes 1 to 3 hit points of damage when it hits. The broom is armor class 7 and takes 18 hit points to destroy. That would be hilarious, by the way. I mean, it's not horribly death-like, but it would just be a really funny situation to see. Broom of Flying. This magical broom is able to fly through the air at up to 30 inches movement speed. The broom can carry 182 pounds at this rate, but every 14 additional pounds slows movement by 1 inch. The device can climb or dive at about 30 degrees. A command word must be used, the word to be determined by you as desired. The broom will travel alone to any destination named. It will come up to 30 inches to its owner when he or she speaks the command word. Players just have to get hold of one of these cursed items and they will be paranoid for a long time, for sure. Bucknerd's Everfull Purse. Appearing as nothing more than a leather pouch or small bag, this magical poke is more useful to its owners, for each morning it will duplicate certain coins, and possibly gems as well. When found, the purse will be full of coins. If totally empty and left so far more than a few minutes, the magic of the purse is lost. But if 1 of each type of coin is placed within the bag, the next morning, 26 of each applicable type will be found inside. Bucknerd's Everfull Purse can contain, and this is by percentile dice roll, up to 26 copper pieces, up to 26 of everything. Copper pieces, silver pieces, electrum pieces, gold pieces, platinum pieces, or gems. 26 gems. Base 10 gold piece gems, which may increase to a maximum of 100 gold piece only. Once that type of bag is first determined by roll, its possibilities will not change. Its abilities will not change. This item was designed to maintain spice, providing a constant source of funds without attracting undue attention to the bearer of necessitating chests of treasure. All right, table 3E, 2. Candle of Evocation. Candles of Invocation. Candles of Invocation are specially blessed and prayered tapers, which are dedicated to the pantheon of gods of one of the 9 alignments. The typical candle is not remarkable, but it will radiate magic if such is detected, and good or evil will be radiated also if appropriate. Simply burning the candle will generate a favorable aura for the individual so doing if the candle's alignment matches that of the characters. If burned by a cleric of the same alignment, the candle temporarily increases the cleric's level of experience by 2, allowing him or her to cast additional spells and even normally unavailable spells as if he or she were the higher level, but only so long as the taper is aflame. Any burning also allows the caster of a gate spell, the respondent being of the alignment of the candle, but the taper is immediately consumed in the process. Each candle will burn for 4 hours. It's possible to extinguish the candle as any other, but it can be placed in a lantern or otherwise sheltered to protect it from drafts and other things which can put it out without affecting its magical properties. Carpet of Flying. It's a whole new world. The size, carrying capacity, and speed of a carpet are determined by use of the table below. Each carpet has its own command word to activate it, and each is then controlled by spoken directions. If the device is within voice range, the command word will activate it. These rugs are Oriental make and design. Each is very beautiful and durable. Note, however, that tears or other rents cannot be repaired without special weaving techniques, which are generally known only in the East. Wow. This is based on a dice roll, percentile dice roll. The size varies from 3x5 to 6x9, and the carrying capacity varies from 1 to 4 persons, the speed by 42 inches to 24 inches. Sensor controlling air elementals. This perforated golden vessel resembles any thurible found in places of worship. If filled with incense and lit, a command word need only be spoken to summon forth a 12 hit die-sized air elemental, which will appear on the following round. If incense of meditation is burned within its 1/2 foot wide, 1 foot high vessel, the air elemental will have +3 on each of its hit die, and it will willingly obey the command of its summoner. Note that if the sensor is extinguished, the elemental will remain and turn on the summoner. CF Elemental in Monster Manual. Sensor of summoning hostile air elementals. This thurible is indistinguishable from other sensors, magical or ordinary. It is cursed so that any incense is burned within it from 1 to 4 enraged so that if any incense is burned within it, from 1 to 4 enraged air elementals will appear, 1 per round, from the sensor and attack any and all creatures within sight. The sensor will burn and cannot be extinguished until either the summoner or the elementals have been killed. Chime of Opening. A chime of opening is a hollow mithril tube about 1 foot long. When it is struck, it sends forth magical vibrations which cause locks to open. Likewise, lids, doors, valves, and portals will open when the chime is sounded. The device will function against normal bars, shackles, chains, bolts, etc. It also destroys the magic of a hold portal spell or even a wizard lock cast by a magic user of less than 15th level. The chime must be pointed at the area of the item or gate which is to be loosed or opened. It is then struck, a clear chiming ring sounds, which may attract monsters, and in 1 round, one of the functions of the device will be completed, i.e., a lock opened, a shackle loosed, a secret door opened, the lid of the chest lifted, etc. Note that if a chest is chained, padlocked, locked, and wizard locked, it will take 4 or 5 soundings of the chime of opening to get it open. A silent spell negates the power of the device. The chime has 20 to 80, 20 plus d6 times 10 charges before it will crack and become useless. Chime of Hunger. This device exactly resembles a chime of opening. When it is struck, all creatures within 6 inches are immediately struck with ravenous hunger. Characters will tear into their rations, ignoring everything else, and even dropping everything they're holding in order to eat. Creatures without food immediately available will rush to where the chime of hunger sounded and attack any creature there in order to kill and eat them. All creatures must eat for at least 1 round, but they are then entitled to a saving throw versus magic on each successive round until such is made, i.e., hunger is satisfied. Note, it is recommended that the chime of hunger operates as one of opening for several rounds of use before its curse be put into operation. That's messed up. Cloak of Displacement. Hey Chris, how you doing, man? This item appears to be a normal cloak, but when it is worn by a character, its magical properties distort and warp light waves. This displacement of light waves causes the wearer to appear to be from 1 foot to 2 feet from his or her actual position. Any attack by missile or melee strike, which is aimed at the wearer, will automatically miss the first time. Thereafter, the cloak affords +2 protection, i.e., 2 classes better in armor class, as well as +2 on saving throw dice versus attack forms directed at the wearer, such as spells, gaze weapon attacks, spitting and breath attacks, etc., which are aimed at the wearer of the Cloak of Displacement. Note that 75% of all Cloaks of Displacement are sized for humans or elves, persons 5 feet to 6 feet or so tall, and but 25% are for persons of about 4 feet height, dwarves, gnomes, halflings. This can apply to first attacks from multiple opponents only if the second and successive attacks were unable to observe the initial displacement miss. Cloak of Elvenkind. A cloak of Elvenkind is of a plain neutral gray, which is indistinguishable from any sort of ordinary cloak of the same color. However, when it is worn, with the hood drawn up around the head, it enables the wearer to be nearly invisible, for the cloak has chameleon-like powers. In the outdoors, the wearer of a cloak of Elvenkind is almost totally invisible in natural surroundings, nearly so in other settings. Note that the wearer is easily seen if violently or hastily moving, regardless of the surroundings. The invisibility bestowed is basing from outdoors natural surroundings to outdoors other and then underground in varying percentage of 100 to 50%. Fully 90% of these cloaks are sized for humans to elven-sized persons. The other 10% are sized for smaller persons, 4 feet or so in height. Cloak of the Manta Ray. This cloak appears to be made from leather. When it is donned, it appears as a normal cloak until the wearer enters salt water, at which time the cloak of the Manta Ray adheres to the individual, and he or she appears nearly 90% identical to a manta ray. The wearer is enabled to breathe underwater and move as a manta ray, 18 inches, see Monster Manual. The wearer also has an armor class of at least 6, that of a manta ray, and other magical protections or magical armor will improve that armor value. Although the cloak does not enable the wearer to bite opponents as a manta ray does, the garment does have a tail spike, which the wearer can use to strike at opponents behind him or her. Damage is only 1 to 6 hit points, and there's no chance of stunning. This attack mode can be used in addition to other sorts, for the wearer can release his or her arms from the cloak's wings without sacrificing movement, if so desired. Cloak of Poisonousness. This particular cloak is usually of woolen-like material, although it can be leathern. It can be handled without harm, and it radiates magic. A neutralized poison spell will not affect it. As soon as the Cloak of Poisonous is actually worn, the wearer will be stricken stone dead. The cloak can only be removed with a remove curse, which destroys the magical properties of the cloak. If a neutralized poison spell is used, the person can possibly be revived by a raise dead or resurrection spell, but there is a minus 10% chance of success because of the poison. After its effects are known, a small label saying Nessus Shirt Company might be seen at your option. I don't know what that means. Nessus Shirt Company? Does anyone know what that means? Cloak of Protection. The various forms of this marvelous device all appear to be normal garments, whether made of cloak or leather. Each lends to its wearer benefits on armor class, each plus the Cloak of Protection, better armor class by 1 factor, and a saving throw, each plus being added to the wearer's saving throw dice rolls. Thus, a +1 cloak would make armor class 10, no armor, into armor class 9, and add +1 to saving throw dice rolls. To determine how powerful a given cloak is, use this table, and it varies from +1 to +5. Note that this device can be combined with other items or worn with leather armor. It cannot function in conjunction with any sort of magical armor, normal armor other than that of leather, or in conjunction with any shield of any sort. All right, let's see. Crystal Ball. This is the most common form of scrying device. A crystal sphere of about 1/2 foot diameter. A magic user can use the device to see virtually any distance or into other planes of existence. The user of the crystal ball must know the subject which is to be viewed. Knowledge can be from personal acquaintance, possession of personal belongings, a likeness of the object, or accumulated information. Knowledge is the key to how successful location will be, not distance. And that ranges from person well known at 100% to on another plane minus 25%. The chance of location also dictates how long a magic user will be able to view the subject, both with respect to length of period and frequency. And of course, the chance of locating is 100% or more, a viewing period of 1 hour 3 times per day, all the way down to 24% or less at 1/6 an hour 1 time per day. Viewing beyond the period of frequencies noted will cause the magic user to make a saving throw versus magic each round, and failure to make it will permanently lower the character's intelligence by 1 point and drive him or her insane until healed. Certain spells cast upon the user of the crystal ball might improve his or her ability. They are comprehend languages, read magic, infravision, and tongues. 2 spells can be cast through a crystal ball with a 5% chance per level of experience of the magic user of working correctly. The spells are Detect Magic, Detect Evil Good. Certain crystal balls have additional powers. To determine this, consult the table below. And the options are in a percentile roll of clairaudience, ESP, and telepathy, or nothing else. The spell function of the device operates at 10th level. Only creatures with intelligence 12 or better have a chance of noticing the scrying. The base chance is determined by class. Fighters have a 2%, and thieves 6%, monks 1%, bards 3%. For each factor of intelligence above 12, the creature has an additional arithmetically, am I saying that right? Ascending cumulative chance beginning at 1%, i.e. 1, 3, 6, 10, 15, 21, at 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18 intelligence. These creatures also have a cumulative chance of 1% per level of experience of detecting scrying. Treat monsters as one of the above, as is most applicable. Check each round of scrying, and if the percentage is or less is rolled, the subject is aware of being watched. If a spell user, cleric, druid, magic user, or illusionist is being observed, use the detection of invisibility table on page 60 rather than the percentages above to determine whether the observation is detected, checking each round. A detect magic will cause the crystal ball being used to cease functioning for 1 day. The various protections against crystal ball viewing will simply leave the device hazy and non-functioning. Note: you may allow scrying devices for clerics and druids. Water basins and mirrors are suggested. Have them function as normal crystal balls. Wow. Crystal Hypnosis Ball. This cursed item type is indistinguishable from a normal crystal ball, and it radiates magic, but not evil if detected for. Any magic user attempting to use it will become hypnotized, and a telepathic suggestion will be implanted in his or her mind. The user of the device will believe that the desired object was viewed, but actually he or she became partially under the influence of a powerful magic user, lich, or even some power being from another plane. Each further use will bring the crystal ball gazer more under the influence of the creature, either as a servant, tool, or possession object. As referee, you must decide whether to make this a gradual or sudden affair according to the surroundings and circumstances peculiar to the finding of the crystal hypnosis ball and the character locating it. Do you think this was part of the inspiration for the Orb of Dragon kind that Lorak was using in Dragonlance? Because, has very similar traits. I actually own a crystal ball. I had run this on a Halloween one year. I went to a friend's house and we set up this entire sort of seance space. It was a lot of fun, and we just sort of ran this whole seance. Now, again, this was for entertainment value and shits and giggles, basically. So it's not something I actively believe in, but it is something that was a very good time, and everyone had a lot of fun doing it. Cube of Force, a device of but about the size of a large die, perhaps 3/4 of an inch across. A cube of force enables its possessor to put up a wall of force 1 inch per side around his or her person, and this cube screen is impervious to the attack forms shown on the table below. The cube has 36 charges, and each day this energy is restored. The holder possesses 1 face of the cube to activate or deactivate the field, and we have a cube face of 1 to 6, charge cost per turn and movement rate of 1 to 1 inch, all the way to 0 normal. Effect being keeps out gases, winds, etc. to deactivates. When the force screen is up, the following attack forms cost extra charges from the cube in order to maintain the integrity of the screen. Note that these spells cannot be cast either into or out of the cube, and it lists a bunch of spells and the cost. And the cube of force can be of any hard mineral, ivory, or bone. Cube of Frost Resistance. This device resembles a cube of force when the cube is activated and enclosed in an area of 1 inch per side, and the temperature within this area is always 65 degrees Fahrenheit. The field will absorb all cold-based attacks, i.e. Cone of Cold, Ice Storm, and even White Dragon's Breath. However, if the field is subjected to more than 50 hit points of cold in any turn, 10 rounds, it collapses and cannot be renewed for 1 hour. If it receives over 100 hit points of damage in 1 turn, the cube is destroyed. Note, cold below 0 degrees Fahrenheit effectively inflicts 2 hit points of cold for every minus 10 degrees, so that the cube is at -2 at -1 to -10 degrees Fahrenheit. -4 at -11 to -20, etc. Thus, at -40 degrees Fahrenheit, the device can withstand only 42 hit points. Cubic Gate. Another small cubic device. This item is fashioned from carnelian. The 6 sides of the cube are each keyed to a plane, one of which will always be the prime material, of course. The other 5 can be chosen by any means desired. If the side of the cubic gate is pressed but once, it opens a nexus to the appropriate plane, and there is a 10% chance per turn that something will come through it looking for food, fun, and or trouble. If the side is pressed twice, the creature so doing, along with all creatures in a 5-foot radius, will be drawn through the nexus to the other plane. It is impossible to open more than one nexial link at once. Keep this away from any kender. Daern's Instant Fortress. This metal cube is of small size, but when activated, it grows to form a metal tower 20 feet square and 30 feet high, with arrow slits on all sides and a machicolated battlement atop it, the metal extending 10 feet into the ground. It has a small door which will open only to the command of the owner of the fortress, knock spells notwithstanding. The adamantite walls of Daern's Instant Fortress are totally unaffected by normal weapons other than those of catapult type. The hull can take 200 points of damage before the tower collapses. Note that damage sustained is cumulative. The fortress cannot be repaired, although a wish will restore 10 points of damage sustained. It requires but 1 round to cause the fortress to spring up, but the person or persons nearby must be careful not to be caught by its sudden growth, or else they will sustain 10 to 100 hit points of damage. The door will always be facing the owner of the device when it becomes a fortress, and it will open and close instantly at his command. Decanter of Endless Water. This flask is quite ordinary looking, but if magic is detected, it will radiate that property. The decanter has a stopper, and if this is removed and the proper words spoken, it will pour forth a stream of fresh or salt water as ordered. These are separate command words for the amount as well as the type of water. Water can be made to come forth as follows. A stream pours out 1 gallon per round. A fountain, 5 feet long stream at 5 gallons per round. A geyser, 20 feet long stream at 30 gallons per round. The last shown applicable causes considerable back pressure, and the holder must be well braced or be knocked over. The force of the geyser will kill small animals and insects, mice, moles, small bats, etc. The command word must be given to cease. Deck of Many Things. A deck of many things, beneficial and baneful, usually is found contained within a box or leather pouch. Each deck contains a number of thin plaques or plates. These sheets are usually of ivory or vellum. Each is engraved and or inscribed with glyphs, characters, and magical sigils. As soon as one of these sheets is drawn forth from the pack, its magic is bestowed upon the person who drew it, for better or worse. The character gaining a deck of many things may announce that only one will be drawn from the pack, or he or she may opt to draw forth 2, 3, or even 4, but the number must be announced prior to the first plaque withdrawn. Note that if the jester is drawn, the possessor of the deck may elect to draw 2 additional cards. Each time a plaque is taken from the deck, it is replaced unless the draw is a jester or fool, in which case the plaque is discarded from the pack. The deck will contain either 13 or 22 plaques, 75% to 25% chance. Additional plaques in a 22-card deck are indicated by an asterisk before their names. To simulate the plaques, you must use the normal playing cards indicated. Sun, KD. Gain beneficial miscellaneous magic items and 50,000 experience points. Moon, QD. You are granted 1 to 4 wishes. Star, JD. Immediately gain 2 points in your major ability. Comet, 2D, this is an asterisk. Defeat the next monster you meet to gain 1 level. Throne, KH, gain charisma of 18 and keep small, and a small keep. Key, QH, gain a treasure map plus 1 magic weapon. Knight, JH, gain the service of a 4th level fighter. Asterisk, gem, 2H, gain your choice of 20 jewelry or 50 gems. The Void, KC, body functions but soul is trapped elsewhere. Flames, QC, enmity between you and the devil. Skull, JC, defeat death or be forever destroyed. Asterisk, talons, 2C, all magic items you possess are torn from you. You ruin, KS, immediately lose all wealth and real property. Azrael, QS, -3 on all saving throw versus petrification. Rogue, JS, one of your henchmen turns against you. Asterisk, balance, 2S, change alignment or be judged. Jester, J, gain 10,000 experience points or 2 more draws from the deck. Fool, asterisk, J with trademark, lose 10,000 experience points, draw again. Asterisk, Vizier, AD, know the answer to your next dilemma. Asterisk, Idiot, AD, lose 1 to 4 hit points of intelligence, you may draw again. Asterisk, Fates, AH, avoid any situation you choose once. Asterisk, Don John, you are imprisoned. Upon drawing the last plaque possible, or immediately upon drawing the plaques in boldface, the Void or Don John, the deck disappears. The plaques are explained below. Sun, roll on the miscellaneous magic table until a useful item other than artifacts or relics is indicated. The player gets experience points for this as well. Moon, this is best represented by a moonstone gem with the appropriate number of wishes shown as gleams therein. These wishes are the same as the 9th level magic user spell and must be used in a number of turns equal to the number received. Star, if the 2 points would place the character's score at 19, use one or both in any of the other abilities in this order: Constitution, Charisma, Wisdom, Dexterity, Intelligence, Strength. Comet, the player must single-handedly defeat the next monster, singular or plural, of hostile nature, or the benefit is lost. If successful, the character moves to the midpoint of the next experience level. Throne, if Charisma is 18 already, the individual still contains 25% on encounter and loyalty reactions. He or she becomes a real leader in people's eyes. The castle gained will be near to any stronghold already possessed. Key, roll a treasure map with 20% on the die. The weapon with it must be one usable by the character, so use the table for swords, miscellaneous weapons, or rods at all as needed. Knight, the hero will join as the character's henchman and loyally serve until death. The hero has +1 per die, 18 maximum on each ability roll. Gem, this indicates wealth. The jewelry will all be gold, set with gems. The gems all of 1,000 gold piece base value. With this wealth should come experience points equal in value, but never more than sufficient for 1 level rise in experience. The Void. This lightless black plaque spells instant disaster. The character's body functions and he or she speaks like an automaton, but the psyche is trapped in a prison somewhere, in an object on a far planet or plane, possibly in the possession of a demon. A wish spell will not bring the character back, but the plane of entrapment might be revealed. Flames, hot anger, jealousy, envy are but a few of the possible motivational forces for the enmity. The devil is usually of the greater sort, possible even an archdevil. The enmity can never be satisfied, save one or the other is slain. Skull, a minor death appears. AC -4, 33 hit points, strikes with a scythe for 2 to 16 hit points, never missing, always striking first in a round, and the character must fight it alone. If others help, they get minor deaths to fight as well. If the character is slain, he or she is slain forever. Treat the death as undead with respect to spells. Cold or fire will not harm it, neither does electrical energy. Jeez. Talons. When this plaque is drawn, each and every magic item owned or possessed by the character drawn is irrevocably gone. This happens instantly. Holy shit. Oh, Greek mythology. Thanks. Ruin. As implied with this plaque is drawn, every bit of money, including all gems, jewelry, and like previous and valuable treasures in art, and all real property and buildings thereon currently owned are lost forever. Azrael, the Medusa-like visage of this plaque, brings a curse which only the Fates card or godlike beings can remove. The -3 is permanent otherwise. Rogue. When this plaque is drawn, one of the character's henchmen will be totally alienated and forever hostile henceforth. If the character has no henchmen, the enmity of some powerful personage, community, or religious can be substituted. The hatred will be secret until the time is ripe for devastating effect. Balance. As weighed in the balance and found wanting, the character must change and perform accordingly to a radically different alignment, i.e. lawful to chaotic, good to evil, neutral to non-neutral. Failure brings judgment, and if there is substantially deviation from the professed alignment, the character will be destroyed permanently. Jester. This plaque actually makes either pack more beneficial if the experience point award is taken. It is always discarded when drawn, unlike all others except the Fool. Fool. The payment and draw are mandatory. Vizier. This plaque empowers the character drawing it with the ability to call upon supernatural wisdom to solve any single problem or answer fully any question whenever he or she so requests. Whether the information gained can be successfully acted upon is another question entirely. Idiot. As indicated, the mongoloid countenance causes loss of 1 to 4 hit points of intelligence immediately. They are lost and cannot be regained, although points can be restored by other means. The additional draw is optional. Fates. This plaque enables the character to avoid even an instantaneous occurrence if so desired, for the fabric of reality is unraveled and respun, so to speak. Note that it does not allow something to happen, only not to take place. This reversal is for the individual character only, and the party must still endure the confrontation. Donjon. This signifies imprisonment, either by spell or by some creature being at your option. All gear and spells will be stripped from the victim in any case. Wow, that is a lot. Holy shit. Whew. Let me take a drink of water. All right. Drums of Deafening. This item is a pair of kettle drums, radiating magic if so detected, but otherwise unremarkable. If either is struck, nothing happens. But if both are sounded together, all creatures within 7 inches are permanently deaf and will remain so until a heal spell or similar cure is used to restore shattered eardrums. Furthermore, those within 1 inch of the drums will be stunned by the noise from 2 to 8 rounds. Each drum is a hemisphere of about 1 1/2 foot diameter. Drums of Panic. These kettle drums are unremarkable in appearance. If both of the pair are sounded, all creatures within 2 inches, save for a safe zone of 2-inch radius from the drums, must make their saving throw versus magic or turn and move directly away from the sound for 1 full turn. Each turn thereafter, the panicked creatures may attempt to save versus magic again. Each failure brings another turn of movement away from the drums of panic. Movement is at fastest possible speed while fleeing in panic, and 3 rounds of rest are required for each 1 turn of fast movement after the saving throw is made. Creatures with intelligence of 2 make saving throws at -2. Those with 1 or less save at -4. Each drum is a hemisphere of about 1 1/2 foot diameter. Dust of Appearance. This find, I can't not think of the Dust of Broken Heart from Willow. It flies in my mind whenever I hear about dust. Dust of Appearance. This fine powder appears much like any other dust unless a careful examination is conducted. The latter will reveal it to be more like a metal dust, but very fine and very light. 1 handful of this substance flung into the air will coat all objects, making them visible even if they are invisible, out of phase, astral, or ethereal. Note that the dust will also reveal mirror images and projected images for what they are, and it likewise negates the effects of cloaks of displacement or elvenkind or robes of blending. Appearance lasts for 2 to 20 turns. It is typically in small silk packets or hollow bone blow tubes. A packet can be shaken out to cover an area with a radius of 10 feet for the user. A tube can be blown in a cone shape, 1 foot wide at the start, 15 feet at the end, and 20 feet long. From 5 to 50 containers can be in one place. Jeez. All right. Dust of disappearance. This dust exactly resembles that of appearance, and it is typically found stored in the same manner and quantity. All things touched by it reflect and bend light of all sorts, infrared and ultraviolet included, so as to become invisible to sight or virtually any other means of normal detection, or even magical means, such as detect invisibility spells, but not dust of appearance. Invisibility bestowed by the dust lasts for 2 to 20 turns, 11 to 20 if carefully sprinkled upon an object. Attack while thus invisible is impossible, always by surprise if the opponent is unable to note invisible things, and always at an armor class 4 places better while invisibility lasts. Note that unlike the invisibility spell, attack while using the dust of a disappearance will not obviate the invisibility. Dust of sneezing and choking. This fine dust appears to be either of the... this could just be called dust. This is what dust does. This fine dust appears to be either of the above types of magical powders. If spread, however, it will cause those within a 20-foot radius to fall into fits of sneezing and coughing. Those failing to save versus poison die immediately. Whoa! Those who do being disabled by the choking for 5 to 20 rounds. That is a weird phrasing. Those who do, being disabled by the choking for 5 to whatever. A 3D bottle. This item is typically fashioned of brass or bronze with a lead stopper bearing special seals. It not uncommonly has a thin stream of smoke issuing from it. There's a 10% chance that an Afridi will be insane and attack immediately upon being released. There's also a 10% chance that the Afridi of the bottle will only grant 3 wishes. The other 80% of the time, however, the inhabitant of the bottle will serve normally. See Monster Manual. When opened, the Afridi issues from the bottle in but 1 segment. You ain't never had a friend like me. Ever smoking bottle. This metal urn is identical to an Afridi bottle. It does nothing but smoke, however. The amount of smoke will be very great if the stopper is pulled out, pouring from the bottle and totally obscuring vision in a 50,000 cubic foot area in 1 round. The bottle, left unstoppered, will fill another 10,000 cubic feet of space with smoke each round until 120,000 cubic feet of space is fogged. And this area will continue to remain so until the ever-smoking bottle is stoppered. The bottle can only be resealed if a command word is known. Wow. Eyes of Charming. Yeah, definitely. It's a casualty. Thanks for tuning in. Definitely sounds like there's a comma missing error. Eyes of Charming. This item consists of a pair of convex crystal lenses which fit over the user's eyes. When in place, the wearer is able to charm persons merely by meeting their gaze. Those failing to save versus magic are charmed as per the spell. 1 person per round can thus be looked at. Saving throws are at -2 if the wearer has both lenses, at +2 if he or she wears only one of a pair of Eyes of Charming. Eyes of the Eagle. These optics are also of special crystal and fit over the eyes of the wearer. They give vision 100 times greater than normal at distances of 1 foot or more, i.e., the wearer can see at 2,000 feet what a person could normally see at 20 feet. Wearing only one of the cusps will cause the character to become dizzy and in effect stunned for 1 round. Thereafter, one eye must always be covered to avoid this vertigo. Eyes of Minute Seeing. Appearing much the same as any other magical lenses, Eyes of Minute Seeing enable the wearer to see 100 times better at distances of 1 foot or less. Thus, tiny seams, minute marks, even the impression left from writing can be seen. Thus, secret compartments and hidden joints can be noted and the information acted upon. The effect of wearing but one of these crystals is the same as given for Eyes of the Eagle. Eyes of Petrification. Totally indistinguishable from any other magical cusps. The effect of donning these lenses is instantaneous. The wearer is turned to stone. Note, 25% of these devices work as the gaze of a basilisk does, including reflection of the weapon turning the gazer to stone. Note, mixing eye types is certain to cause immediate insanity for 2 to 8 turns. Wow. All right, we are on table 3. Figurines of wondrous power. There are various figurines, but all have the following in common. Each is apparently a statuette of small size, but an inch or so high. When the figurine is tossed down and a command word spoken, however, it becomes a living creature which obeys and serves its owner. If any figurine is destroyed in its statuette form, it is forever ruined. All magic is lost, and it has no power. If slain in animal-like form, the figurine simply reverts to its statuette conformation and can be used again at a later time as long as the statuette is not broken. When figurines of wondrous power are indicated, roll on the table below to determine the type. And percentile dice, the options are ebony fly, golden lions, pair, ivory goats, trio, marble elephant, obsidian steed, onyx dog, serpentine owl. What the hell does that mean, serpentine owl? What? Doesn't make any sense. All right. Ebony fly. Add a word, the small carving grows to the size of a pony. The ebony fly is armor class 4, has 4+4 hit die, air maneuverability class C, and flies at 48-inch movement rate without a rider at 36-inch carrying. Wait a second. The ebony fly can have a rider at 36 inches carrying up to 210 pounds of weight, and 24-inch carrying from 211 to 350 pounds weight. The item can be used a maximum of 3 times per week, 12 hours per day. When 12 hours have expired, or in any event when the command word is spoken, the ebony fly shrinks to statuette size. Wait a second. What is the size of an ebony fly? Oh, the size of a pony. I said at the beginning. I'm an idiot. That's like Brendel fly. All right. Golden lions. A pair of golden lions are exceptionally useful as they become 2 normal adult male lions, armor class 5 to 6, 5+2 hit die, and normal attack modes. If slain in combat, the lions cannot be brought back from the statuette form for 1 full week. Otherwise, they can be used once every day. They enlarge and shrink upon speaking the command word. Ivory goats. I just hear the goats scream from that Thor movie every time I think of a goat now. Each goat of this trio of statuettes looks slightly different, for each has a different function. There are 1, the Goat of Traveling. This statuette provides a speedy and enduring mount of armor class 6 with 24 hit points and 2 attack horns for 1 to 8 each, considered as 4 hit die monster. It moves at 48 inches, bearing 280 pounds or less, and at -1 inch for every additional 14 pounds of weight carried. The goat can travel a maximum of 1 day each week, continuously or in any combination of periods totaling 24 hours. At the point or when the command word is uttered, it returns to its small form for not less than 1 day before it can again be used. 2. The Goat of Travail. When commanded, the statuette becomes an enormous creature, larger than a bull, with sharp hooves, 4 to 10, a vicious bite, 2 to 8, and a pair of wicked horns of exceptional size, 2 to 12. If it is charging to attack, it may only use its horns, but +6 damage is added to each hit on that round, i.e. 8 to 18 hit point damage per horn. It is armor class 0, has 96 hit points, and attacks as a 16 hit die monster. It can be called to life but once per month. It moves 24 inches. Wow, becomes an enormous creature larger than a bull. Number 3, the Goat of Terror. When called upon the proper command word, this statuette becomes a destrier-like mount, 36-inch movement, armor class 2, 48 hit points, and no attacks itself. However, the rider can employ the goat's horns as weapons. One horn has +3 spear, lance, and the other has a +6 sword. When ridden versus an opponent, the Goat of Terror radiates terror in a 3-inch radius, and any opponent in this radius must make a saving throw versus magic or lose 50% of strength and suffer at least -3 on hit dice rolls, all due to weakness caused by terror. When all opponents are slain, or upon the proper command, the goat returns to its statuette form. It can be used once every 2 weeks. After 3 uses, each of the goats loses its magical abilities forever. All right. Marble elephant. These are the largest of the figurines, each statuette being about the size of a human hand. Upon utterance of the command word, a marble elephant can be caused to grow to the size and specifications of a true elephant or return to statuette form. The animal created from the statuette is fully obedient to its commander, serving as a beast of burden, mount, or attacking alone. The type of marble elephant obtained is determined as follows: percentile dice of Asiatic elephant, African loxodont, prehistoric mammoth, prehistoric mastodon. Details of each type of creature are found in the monster manual. The statuette can be used a maximum of 24 hours at a time, 4 times per month. I wonder sometimes if the only reason these monsters are in the monster manual, or these animals are in the monster manual, is because of these magic items. If it weren't for these magic items, tell me, would they be in the monster manual? I'm curious. Obsidian steed. An obsidian steed appears as a small, nearly shapeless lump of black stone. Only careful inspection will reveal that it vaguely resembles some form of quadruped, and of course, if magic is detected for, the piece of rock, which is the steed figurine, will be noted as radiating some duomer magic. Upon speaking the command word, the near formless piece of obsidian becomes a true nightmare. It will allow itself to be ridden, but if the rider is of good alignment, it is 10% likely to be per use to carry its master to the floor of Hades, first layer, and then return to its statuette form. See Monster Manual for details of the nightmare. The statuette can be used for a 24-hour period maximum, once per week. Note that when the obsidian steed becomes astral or ethereal, its rider and gear likewise so become. Thus, travel to other planes is easily accomplished by means of this item. Onyx Dog. When commanded, the statuette changes into a creature which has the same properties as a war dog, except that it is endowed with the intelligence of 8 to 10, can communicate to the common tongue, and has exceptional olfactory and visual abilities. The olfactory power enables the Onyx Dog to scent the trail of a known creature 100% of the time if it is 1 hour or less old, minus 10% per hour thereafter, and subject to being thrown off by false trails, breaks, water, and masking or blocking substances of scent. The visual power enables the Onyx Dog to use 90-foot range infravision, spotting hidden, such as in shadows, things 80% of the time, normally invisible things 65% of the time, and noting astral, ethereal, and out-of-phase things 50% of the time. For details, see Dog War in the Monster Manual. An Onyx Dog can be used for up to 6 continuous hours. Once per week, it obeys only its owner. Wow, that's crazy. You have a raven like that? Wow. Thanks for tuning in, by the way. Serpentine Owl. A serpentine owl becomes a normal-sized horned owl, AC 7, 24-inch move, 2 to 4 hit points, 1 to 2 hit points of damage when attacking. If its possessor so commands, it can become a giant owl if its owner so requires. The latter usage, however, is limited to 3 times. Thereafter, the statuette loses all of its magical properties. The normal-sized form of this magical statuette moves with 95% silence, has infravision to 90 feet, can see in normal above-ground darkness as if it were in full light, and twice as well as a human at that. Its hearing is so keen as to be able to detect a mouse moving at 60 feet distance. Thus, silent movement chances are reduced 50% with respect to the serpentine owl in smaller form. Furthermore, it can and will communicate with its owner by telepathic means, informing of all it sees and hears according to its low 2 to 4 intelligence in normal size. If commanded to giant size, a serpentine owl is in all respects the same as a giant owl. For information, see Owl Giant in the Monster Manual. As with most other figurines of wondrous power, this one readily obeys all commands of its owner. Awesome. Flask of Curses. This item appears much the same as any beaker, bottle, container, decanter, flask, jug, etc. By the way, am I the only one, every time I read the word beaker, who thinks of the Muppets? It has magical properties, but detection will not reveal the nature of the Flask of Curses. It often changes liquid substances too, or it may emit smoke. When the flask is first unstoppered, a curse of some sort will be visited upon the person or persons nearby. It will subsequently be harmless. The suggestions given for the curse, reverse of the cleric bless spell, and those stated for typical curses found on a scroll are recommended for use here as well, or some monster can appear and attack all creatures in sight, etc. That's brutal. All right, this I think is where we're going to end up ending it. That is going to do it for this episode of Gaming Advanced Dungeons & Dragons. What do you think of the miscellaneous magic item descriptions? Do you have a favorite miscellaneous magic item? Feel free to email me at info@dlsaga.com or leave a comment below. I would like to take a moment and remind you to subscribe to this YouTube channel, ring the bell to get notified about upcoming videos, and click the like button. This all goes to help other Dragonlance fans learn about this channel and its content. Thank you to creator patron Aaron Hardy, producer patron Azrael, and developer patrons Chris Androu and Sam Ruiz. This channel is all about celebrating the wonderful world of the Dragonlance Saga, and I hope you'll join me in the celebration. Thank you for watching. This has been Adam with Dragonlance Saga, and until next time, Slanjavar.